Hello there. My name is Keisha Darden, and I'm a proud member of the Monrovia Duarte Black Alumni Association. It is truly an honor to be asked to participate in the Black History Month storytelling series. Here at the Monrovia Duarte Black Alumni Association, it is our goal to assist local youth in pursuing higher education. One of the things that we work so diligently towards is to assist high school seniors with scholarships toward their education for college. The book that I will be sharing about today is called Little Melba and Her Big Trombone. The book was written by Catherine Russell Brown, and the pictures, which are so beautiful, were illustrated by Frank Morrison. This story is about Melba Doretta Liston and her love for music. When she was 7, she fell in love with a trombone and actually taught herself how to play music. The majority of the genre of music that she played, it ranged from blues to jazz and gospel. Melba was a true pioneer, and she was one of the first women of any race to become a world-class trombone player, composer, and arranger. During her music career, she played with some of the jazz greats. Just to name a few, Dizzy Gillespie, Billie Holiday, and even Quincy Jones. The further south that she toured, the more racism and discrimination that she experienced, but that did not take her love for music away. Melba received many honors. One of them was from the National Endowment for Arts, and they named Liston a jazz master, which is the highest honor the United States will give to a jazz artist. I hope that Melba's story encourages someone the way that it encouraged me. Thank you so much to the Monrovia Library for assisting us in these storytelling videos, and a special thank you to you, Ms. Annette, for all that you do. We truly appreciate it.
Little Melba and Her Big Trombone by Catherine Russell Brown. Illustrations by Frank Morrison. Spread the word. Little Melba Doretta Liston was something special. The year she was born was 1926. The place was Kansas City, where you could reach out and feel the music. The avenues were lined with jazz clubs, street bands, and folks harmonizing on every corner. All the hot music makers made sure they had a gig in KC. From as far back as her memory would go, Melba loved the sound of music. Blues, jazz, and gospel rhythms danced in her head. The plink of a guitar, the hum of a bass, the thrum-thrum of a drum, the ping-pang of a piano, the tremble of a sweet horn. Notes stirred and rhythms bubbled all through Melba's home. She couldn't get enough. Music was always on her mind. She daydreamed about beats and lyrics. Music was on Melba's mind at night, too, when she could have been fast asleep. Melba loved to hum along with the radio. Sometimes the music sounded so good, she cupped her ear to the majestic and closed her eyes. She especially loved Fats Waller with his growly voice and booming piano.
All by myself, no one to walk with, but I'm happy on the shelf. Ain't misbehaving, saving my love for you, for you, for you, for you.
The player piano came alive when Melba's kinfolk stopped by. While Melba pedaled, her aunties danced around the room. With all that music flying by, Melba wanted to create her own sounds. When she was 7 years old, she decided to sign up for music class at school.
What instrument could I play?
Melba wondered. At the traveling music store, Melba eyed a long, funny-looking horn.
That one!
She cried.
It's beautiful!
A trombone? Mama Lucille frowned. It's big, and you're a little girl.
Please!
Melba begged. Mama Lucille bought the shiny trombone on the spot. She couldn't say no to her only child. Melba beamed from ear to ear and squeezed her new friend. That night, on the porch, Melba listened to Grandpa John play his guitar. This time, she had her own music maker. Grandpa John showed Melba how to cradle the horn. She tried to push out the slide, but her arm was too short. She had to tilt her head sideways and stretch out her right arm. Melba gave the horn a mighty blow. It sounded bad, like a howling dog.
I'm no good, Grandpa.
Melba said, tearing up.
If you can blow, you can play.
Grandpa John said.
Now stand up straight and blow steady.
Melba stayed up real late and practiced until she could play a simple note all by herself. Even with her keen ear, teaching herself to play the trombone was no piece of cake. But Melba kept blowing her horn, getting better day by day. The cool brass of the horn felt swell on her fingers. Before long, Melba and her horn were making magic. She was only 8 when the local radio station invited her to play a solo. Mama Lucille and Grandpa John were so proud as they watched little Melba play her big trombone. Hard times hit rock bottom in 1937. That's when Melba and her mother moved to Los Angeles. The long train ride took them 5 states west and worlds away from Kansas City. Melba's new teachers discovered that she was as smart as a whip, and her test scores were so high the principal skipped her up from 6th grade to 8th. In high school, Melba joined Alma Hightower's famous after-school music club. Melba quickly became the star player in the club's band, the Melodic Dots. The other club members struggled to keep up with Melba. Jealous boys called her bad names. She tried not to care, but way down deep, the names hurt. Melba used her horn to turn all those hurt feelings into soulful music. Melba's talent kept growing. She began to write music too. Then, in 1943, when she was 17, Melba was invited to tour the country with a new band led by trumpet player Gerald Wilson.
Go meet the world,
Mama Lucille said, and hugged Melba goodbye.
You have my blessing.
Melba could feel it in her bones. The jazz scene was calling her name. Traveling with the band was a thrill. Each city, from Salt Lake to New York, was an eyeful of something new. Melba became a master musician. She composed and arranged music, spinning rhythms, harmonies, and melodies into gorgeous songs. And when Melba played the trombone, her bold notes and one-of-a-kind sound mesmerized the crowd. Still, Melba was lonely. She was the only woman in the band. Some of the men were cruel. Others acted as if she wasn't there. Melba let the music in her head keep her company. Rough times came when Melba traveled down south with singer Billie Holiday and her band. Some white folks didn't show good manners toward folks with brown skin. Hotel rooms were hard to come by, and the band members often had to sleep on the bus. Restaurants didn't always want their business. In the clubs, audiences sometimes just sat and stared at the band, or didn't show up at all. Discouraged, Melba almost walked away from her trombone for good. But Melba's fans wouldn't let her quit. By the 1950s, all the cool jazz musicians wanted some Melba magic. Dizzy Gillespie, Duke Ellington, Quincy Jones, and more. They wanted to be on the bandstand with Melba and her divine horn. They wanted to play Melba's music. Melba and her music trotted around the globe, dazzling audiences and making headlines in Europe, the Middle East, and Asia. All her life, Melba kept composing and arranging music, kept making her trombone sing. Spread the word, Melba Doretta Liston was something special.